What is happening, everybody? I hope you all are having a happy Friday. This Friday is a happy Friday because I was beyond impressed with the performance of last week's video. I just want to say thank you all so much for all the support I got on last week's video. Now here is your bonus episode as a reward. Today's video topic is season passes. The most crucial component to being able to have an enjoyable ski day is getting on the mountain. Most places you can't even do that unless you have some form of lift ticket or season pass. So in today's video, we will be discussing passes. All of y'all in the ski community know that Epic and Ikon dominate the ski industry in the USA, and it is very difficult to have good quality skiing without having to go to one of those resorts. Today we'll be discussing if you should get an Epic Pass or an Ikon Pass in the 2025-2026 season. In a later video, I will go over my best advice to save money on your ski pass and ski trip. But today, we will just be going over the pros and cons to getting either an Epic or an Ikon Pass. Before we get into the comparison, let's go over a brief history on how these passes have become what they are. Back in the day, ski passes used to be resort specific, where if you wanted a season pass, you usually had to pay an exorbitant amount of money for a season pass, and it would only give you access to one ski resort. As someone who usually goes to a different ski resort every week, I can't imagine how repetitive it would be to be restricted to one ski resort. Not to mention that most of the ski resorts back then weren't that big either. Before the major season passes became a thing, we saw a few ski resorts partner up to create multi-resort passes that would give you access to multiple resorts. Two multi-resort passes that were typically known were the Colorado Pass, which included most of which are today's Epic resorts, and then the Rocky Mountain Pass, which included Winter Park and Copper, which are today's Ikon resorts. After we had that era of complexity, in 2008, Vail Resorts launched the Epic Pass. 10 years later, in 2018, Alterra Mountain Company launched the Ikon Pass. Both companies expanded over the years and acquired more resorts, creating the bimonopoly over the ski industry we all know and love today. Now, if you are still trying to decide on which pass you want to get for next season, hopefully this video will help tip you over the fence. The first priority in your decision making is what region you plan on skiing. You don't want to pay almost, if not over, $1,000 for a season pass and then realize you don't have access to the mountains nearby you. If you are skiing in the Midwest or in northern Nevada/Cali, Epic is probably the best option for you. If you are skiing in the Pacific Northwest, northeastern U.S., Utah, the Northern Rockies, or other areas in California other than Tahoe, Ikon is the best purchase for you. If you are skiing in Colorado, it is basically 50-50, so your purchase will depend on other factors we will mention later. Colorado is special because you have that choice. In Colorado, we have 6 Epic resorts and 6 Ikon resorts, so it will vary on which set of mountains you prefer more. Since most of my audience probably skis Colorado, and more importantly, I live in Colorado, I am going to start by breaking down which pass you should get for Colorado skiing. If you do not ski in Colorado and are simply looking for Epic or Ikon advice in general, I will leave a timestamp in the description to skip to when the Colorado portion of this is over. Anyway, for my Colorado people, let's continue. For the Epic Local Pass, you'll get unlimited access to Keystone, Breckenridge, and Crested Butte with no blackout dates, and 10 days at Vail and Beaver Creek, which have blackout dates. With the Ikon Pass, you get unlimited access to Winter Park, Copper, and Eldora Mountains with no blackout dates. You also get 5 days at A Basin with no blackouts, and 5 days at Steamboat with blackout dates. If you upgrade to a full Epic Pass, you get unlimited access to all the resorts mentioned on the Epic Local Pass without blackout dates, plus you get 7 days at Telluride. If you upgrade to a full Ikon Pass, you get unlimited access to every resort you get on the base pass without blackout dates, now including A Basin, which used to only get 7 days there, now it's unlimited. You also get 7 days total at the 4 Aspen resorts, which I think definitely makes it worth the upgrade to the full Ikon Pass. Now we have broken down all the resorts you get access to in Colorado with these passes, let's talk about distance. If you are someone where most of your ski trips are going to be day trips, I would recommend the Epic Pass as you get 4 major resorts within a day trippable distance from Denver. Those resorts are Keystone and Breck, which don't require a drive over Vail Pass, and then you have Vail and Beaver Creek, which are a bit farther and do require a drive over Vail Pass. You also get Crested Butte and Telluride, which are pretty much out of reach for a day trip from Denver. The Ikon Pass also has 4 ski resorts within a day trippable distance from Denver, but also keep in mind 2 of them, such as A Basin and Eldora, aren't full-size ski resorts, so I would consider both of them half resorts, which brings that down to 3. On the Ikon Pass, you can go to Winter Park to avoid the Eisenhower/Johnson Tunnel madness, or you can go to Copper and have the convenience of not having to drive a long distance on a back road to get there. A Basin is a pain to get to when Loveland Pass is closed, which is more often than not. Eldora is a great option for people who live in the Boulder area due to its convenience, but if you don't live near there, it isn't worth the mediocrity. What you have left on the Ikon is Aspen and Steamboat. Aspen is out of reach for a day trip, and Steamboat is not very practical for a day trip, and it takes 3 hours one way to get there without traffic. Now we discussed distance, let's discuss content. If you're looking for less technical or better groomed runs, I would recommend Epic. Keystone is a very good ski resort for people who are less technical and just want to ski simple things. Breck, Vail, and Beaver Creek are also great options as well. If you are someone who wants more technical and more challenging runs, I would recommend the Ikon. Arapahoe Basin has some pretty gnarly shit just off of the Pallavicini chair straight from the base, and a lot of the extremes don't require a hike in or out. Winter Park and Copper can be pretty mid, but do have some good challenges when conditions allow for it. If you are willing to drive farther, you have Steamboat and Aspen. Steamboat's extremes used to be limited to Mount Werner, which can be a pain to lap, but now with the Mahogany expansion, they can now be considered a competitor in the extremes. Aspen is a very good ski resort for technicality as well. You got the Highland Bowl, and you have the Heroes expansion at Ajax, and you have the Cirque and Hanging Valley at Snowmass. And of course, you got the most difficult ski resort in the world, Buttermilk, where you got icy runs, inexperienced skiers, and park riders. Sounds like a great mix. Epic has their fair share of technical resorts as well, but for the very good ones you have to drive, for which are Crested Butte and Telluride. With the exception of Silverton, Crested Butte is the most challenging mountain in Colorado, where they got Rambo, as well as over 50% of their terrain are extremes. Just one side note on Crested Butte, when I went, I didn't find Rambo to be that difficult. I think what scared the shit out of me were the trees right next to Rambo, which it had the same pitch as Rambo, and the trees were dense as fuck. I remember after doing those trees and then skiing Rambo for the first time, I felt Rambo was a walk in the park compared to those trees. Now we discuss the Colorado portion of this, which was pretty long but also important. We will discuss the pricing of the Epic and Ikon passes. The Epic Local Pass currently starts at $783 USD, and if you want to upgrade to the full Epic Pass, it is $1,051 USD. The Ikon Base Pass this year is very steep, starting at $1,009 USD, and the full Ikon Pass being at $1,429 USD. Ouch, that is insane. Luckily, if you play your cards right with the Ikon Pass, you can get cheaper rates than this. Ikon used to have a Base Plus Pass option, which was less expensive than the full Ikon Pass, giving you access to all the resorts the full Ikon Pass offered, but with restrictions. Unfortunately, Ikon removed that option as it wasn't popular and was not that significantly less expensive than the full pass, and was very restrictive compared to the full. There are ways to save money on your Ikon Pass, such as buying early and renewing. I got my full Ikon Pass for $12.29 because I renewed from last year, and I bought it when it was on sale in March, so I saved $200. If you are under the age of 23 years old, you can get the Ikon Pass for a few $100s less than the standard retail price. What I did last year was I turned 23 on May 1st of 2024, so I renewed my pass back in March of 2024 when I was 22 years old, so I got to pay for the cheaper pass and still got to enjoy the full benefits when I was 23, and still am at 24 because I am skiing the final days on that pass to this day. The Epic Pass also has some good ways of saving money too, but like I said earlier, I will save that for another video.
That's a shame.
Now let's discuss another important topic, spring skiing. If you are one of the corn chasers and like skiing late season slushies with no lift lines, this will be an important factor to you. When it comes to spring skiing, at least in Colorado, Ikon is the winner here by a long shot. It isn't even close. In the 2024-2025 ski season, Ikon had 3 Colorado ski resorts stay open into May, which were Winter Park, Copper, and Arapahoe Basin, which typically stays open into June. On the Epic Pass, you just have Breckenridge, which closed the second weekend of May in 2025, so not a whole lot of May skiing on the Epic. We could also factor in most of the Epic resorts were closed by the second week of April, which most of the Ikon resorts stayed open later into the month of April. So Ikon is the clear winner here for spring skiing.
Oh shit, that was not good.
Now we discussed a lot of the pros and cons. I will now give you my recommendation. Now, if you ski in a region where one pass dominates over the other, you're obviously going to go with what gets you the most skiing in that area. If that is not the case for you and you want the best bang for your buck, I would definitely recommend the Epic, as you pretty much get most of the same benefits Ikon offers, and the price of a full Epic Pass currently is only $40 more than the Ikon Base Pass. The Epic Pass is also the better pass if you don't like crowds, as I have skied Epic for over a decade and know there are always places you can go to escape the lines. The lines will get better for Epic in the 2025-26 season, as many people are boycotting Vail and switching to Ikon due to Vail's controversy this last season. Even without that, Ikon resorts are the living definition of overcrowding. I hear everybody bitch that Vail has very long lines, which may be true in some cases, but at least they are avoidable if you play your cards right. I seriously wonder if any of those people who say that tried to wait in a line for Pano at Winter Park on a powder day. Later in the off season, I will release a video on what are the best ways to avoid lines at Colorado ski resorts, so stay tuned for that. To conclude, both passes are very great purchases and will both offer you a very incredible ski season in 2026. The Ikon Pass is more expensive and has more crowds, but offers some of the better flagship ski resorts such as Aspen, Jackson Hole, Alta, Snowbird, Big Sky, Steamboat, etc. And the Ikon Pass has more diversity in their ski resorts, and their terrain and the vibe if that is what you're looking for. The Epic Pass is less expensive, has less crowds, but their ski resorts are mostly cookie cutter, as I notice when I go to Epic Resorts. They all kind of have that same vibe. Epic Resorts are definitely more corporatized than the Ikon Resorts are, but that could be both a good thing and a bad thing. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Please leave a comment down below, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.